I'm Sara Kinakin with Kinakin, and today I want to share with you how to make a family mandala. This is the Ontogonic Body-Mind Therapy Family Mandala, created by Carlos de Leon, who's brought together some elements from Hellinger's family constellations and Murray Bowen's genogram. First of all, I'm doing this video because I'm doing it for one of my clients, but I also wanted to share it with some of the other people that are clients with me, or anyone that wants to do an Enneagram. But you should know one thing first, that if you're going to do a family mandala, the first thing is you should have some history in doing personal therapy, and specifically body-mind therapy. So whether that's somatic therapy or, preferably ontogonic body-mind therapy, because it will help you be able to go deeper. This is really helpful when you're working in your therapy process, because you can see some of the information where some patterns might come from. You might even see some of the intergenerational trauma that gets passed on once you start to have a broader picture of your mandala and the influence that comes from your family. So I really like this work. It's important. It's intuitive. It's more about bringing your intuitive aspects into this world through your family. Don't get too stuck on the logic of it. That's one part of it, but just allow yourself to really let your creativity and your inspiration and your sensations, your intuition kind of guide the process. So I'm going to lay out the sort of the general guidelines, but then you have at her whatever feels most appropriate for you. That's how you should do it. And know that this is not entirely about just truths. You also want to include family stories, but this is the way your family unit has impacted you and things that you need to work through. So it's not, about 100% accurate, as we know in therapy. Everything is how it's impacted us, and that's what we have to work with. So enjoy. It's a fun process, and I'm going to go through and explain that now. Okay, so the first thing that you should do with your mandala is to get a really big piece of paper. So, any of those poster boards, that kind of thing, for you to work on so that you have space. And at the very center of it, we're gonna put you. So I'm just gonna draw a little stick person here. So you're gonna put yourself at the very center. And you're going to imagine this kind of like in the shape of a clock, just so that you can orient yourself. So things that are dead ahead are 12 o'clock, behind you are 6, and then you have at the sides 3 and 9. So just for orientation. And so your first circle is going to be your parents, siblings, so you can list them here, your mother or father. And in fact, you can do, for the father, you can go squares, for your mother, you can go circles, and then any siblings, same if you have, somebody that's transgendered in your family or bi or anything, you can mark them with a triangle. It's your family mandala, so if you would rather mark it with a star or a moon or a flower, totally do that. Like, you don't have to be stuck on it. We use some of the principles of the genogram, which actually has, specifically males are squares and females are circles, and it makes it easier if it's more, along with everybody else. Then when somebody looks at it, or when you look at it, you'll have, a reference, but it's up to you how you want to do it. And so that's circle 1. So circle 2 would be your close uncles and aunts. If they weren't close, don't put them in there. And your cousins also, if they weren't close and you don't even know them, you don't have to put them in at all. And then grandparents is the next one. That's circle 3, and great grandparents is circle 4. And again, you just put them there. Why do we need such a big board? You say a poster board? It's because I'm also going to want you to draw a symbol for each individual. So when you put yourself on the board, I also want you to, beside it, put a little symbol of something like, for example, for me, the symbol of butterflies is a really big thing. So I like that, so I will draw beside me the little butterfly. It doesn't have to be beautiful. If you're artistic and you want to spend some time making it really beautiful, that's great too. Do it however it is comfortable. So when you put the other people on your family mandala, I also want you to really feel into them and spend some time with what it's like to feel them and really sense who they are from your perspective, of course. But just imagine that you're them, and you're really feeling what it's like to be in their body, and then just see if a symbol or a shape or it could be anything, an image of some sort comes. If the images come like a scene, that's great too. Just note what the scene was about so that you can have that information. Don't think anything is strange or obscure. Everything is important. If it comes up, your unconscious is trying to give you that information. Okay, so we have grandparents, and then we want great grandparents in the next circle. And then that's circle 4, I believe, is the great grandparents. And then we want those people your family who were helpers to your family. So they're not directly related by blood, although they could be. But people, for example, I have a family story where my great-great-grandfather was traveling back on a ship. He was smoking he got into the lifeboat in order to smoke so nobody would see him. And so he decided he'd smoke a lot. And when he tried to get out of the boat, he was taking off the cover and was quite dizzy. And he tried to reach to get back onto the ship. And luckily 2 sailors that were there saw him trying to undo the cover of this safety boat or lifeboat, and basically went down and grabbed him so he didn't fall into the ocean. So those people would be considered family helpers. So I would draw them in this next circle with a little symbol beside them, and for me that symbol would be, like a little life, one of those dinghy things, right? And so then the next circle outside of that, you would want to put all of any extended family, any friends of the family that you have, or any enemies that the family might have. Like if you have, I don't know, there's some family that's always, vengeful towards your family, or there's some conflict that hasn't been resolved between families or between family and a person, however that manifests for you. So I want you to also include that in that last circle. So the really important piece is, after you've identified, you just do it one person at a time. And then add the symbol. So spend some time bringing the symbol in. So this is a process that you're not going to do this, in a half hour. Although if maybe, I don't know, I shouldn't say that. Maybe you can do it in a half hour, but I'm imagining that it would take some time to do it. And then I want you to also feel into where you're going to put the person before you actually place them in the mandala. Because even though we've got these rings kind of identified, we also, you know, there might be a grandparent, for example, that really acted more like a parent. So you would move them into that first ring. Or there might be, you know, a parent that really wasn't present at all. So you might move them out into the last ring. So just however it feels, the distance of where they should be in your mandala. You know, just imagine you're sitting in the middle of the clock, and you can decide how far away from you or close to you that is. If you have trouble figuring out where a person goes, you might want to just take a pillow, sit on the floor in the middle of the floor, imagine this clock around you, and then place the pillow where you think that person is. And just see how it feels, and just try. You can move the pillow closer and see if that's comfortable, or farther away. There'll be a spot where you'll actually recognize, yeah, that's exactly where that should be. So that's the first step, and now I'm just gonna go. I might put a little map in here or some graphs, and then I will add more steps. Okay, so the next piece, to identify the kinds of relationships that everyone has. And so you can use kind of the genogram things. I've got like a little sample here of some things. So if it's a harmonious relationship, it's just a straight line. If it's, you know, harmonious but really fused, like the other person can't have any emotions that are different than you, or you needed to have emotions that were similar to them, or they didn't recognize you, then you could put, you know, 2 straight lines. If, you know, there's distrust or hostility, you might do a squiggle, or broken lines if the relationship is broken. You could also use colors to identify how the relationship goes between individuals. So just use your pencil crayons, or buy a box of crayons, or if you have your kids' crayons, you could borrow their crayons and do that. Use the crayons to mark that. Then I want you to also note, so number 3 would be to note any spiritual connections. So people that were really, you know, say perhaps super spiritual, or maybe even a pastor of a church, or important in that way, had really a strong spiritual connection, or people who had absolutely no spiritual connection, completely like this is totally bad, and they're against that kind of thing. So make note of that, because that will be also important. And then when you're almost done, just feel into all of the people and all of the little images that they have. You can even use, you know, if you don't want to draw a symbol for them, but you see something in a magazine, you can cut it out and stick it on there. That's fine too. However you want to do it. It doesn't have to be beautiful or perfect. It's not important to spend time in drawing it. Unless, of course, you want to do that. The important part is to actually find the symbolic meaning and to start to go a little bit deeper into your unconscious wisdom. So then I want you to just sense and to see if there's anything that you feel is missing, or something that really catches your attention, and make note of it, because those things are important, and they might actually have a larger impact on your whole family constellation or your whole family mandala than you imagine. So just work with that. And yes, okay, so now you've got that piece unfolding. You've created all the relationships in your mandala. You have got all the symbols for all the people on your mandala. You've made notes of any spiritual connections or missing links. If you study Ontogonic Body-Mind therapy or do Reikian therapy at all, then you can also include the characterologies. If not, don't worry about it. And now I want you to sit with your whole mandala and, give yourself 10-15 minutes to just quietly sit with it and ask for a symbol that represents your whole family mandala to come forward. And just allow that. If images or a scene comes, make note of it. If you're having trouble, then you can take that intention into dream time and activate your dreams to bring back some symbolic images. It might take a couple of days of you just being around your house, or it might be really fast. You get it right away before, I finish speaking these words. So don't, just allow yourself to accept the flow of however it's coming, without judging it. And it's not about, this being perfect. It's not about this being, historically accurate, that all of these things are facts. Again, as we know in therapy, it's about how these things have impacted you, and you're working to liberate yourself from that impact so that you could be free and make choices without having, automatic responses to things. So that is, I believe that's it. If you have any questions, you can put them down below, and I will see what people are asking, and perhaps I'll do another video to address those questions. If you would like to work your family mandala, then please feel free to contact me if we haven't done this together already. And yes, good luck. Enjoy it. It's a beautiful trip to kind of go deeper into your family mandala and to see what kind of stuff is intergenerationally. So look at not only traumatic events, but also look at, the gifts, because some people, you might have like amazing artists or really important historical people in your lineage. Make note of that and what gifts that they also bring to your mandala, which will help in transforming some of the things that perhaps you're going through. So enjoy it. I look forward to hearing from you. Feel free to connect with me anytime. Yes, enjoy.